You're still watching TVC Breakfast. We now take you all the way to the center of unity where Shamamo Imodu and Teacher Adeoye are standing by for the FCT brief. They're still going to be talking about the electoral amendment. And over to you, Abuja. The conversation is with you in Akwana.
Thank you very much, Ria. It's another beautiful Tuesday morning here in the nation's capital city. And I hope you're sat with your coffee. And if you're not, it's a good time to grab it now because we're about to take you on an interesting ride to today's topic in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, good morning, Nigerians, and it's a beautiful Tuesday morning. Now, TJ, it rained in parts, let me not say all over Abuja, parts of Abuja.
Should I be happy about that? Because this kind of rain always brings heat, so I'm not really excited
it will rain
about
again today, maybe rain tomorrow.
Well, if it does, well, fine. Well, let's go into what we have for you today. Nigeria's electoral system is once again under the spotlight, and this time the questions are coming directly from the people. As lawmakers move to amend the Electoral Act, Nigerians are asking hard questions about credibility, transparency, and whether the changes on the table truly reflect the will of the electorate. On today's edition of FCT Brief, we will be examining the Electoral Act amendment and review the key concerns being raised across the country, from how votes are counted and transmitted to the broader implications for trust in the democratic process.
At a time when confidence in elections is critical, this review could shape not just future polls, but the integrity of Nigeria's democracy itself. Joining us for this important conversation is Honorable Dabo Ismail, member representing Toro Federal Constituency, Bauchi State, and chairman of the House Subcommittee on the Protection of Critical National Assets. He will share insights on the amendment process, the concerns of Nigerians, and what lies ahead as the National Assembly deliberates further. It's nice to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the conversation out there is about the Electoral Act amendment. Now, given the fallout of the 2023 elections, the litigations and all that, one would have expected that the amendment of the Electoral Act will take this this matter seriously, but it seems as if it's a step backwards, given the agitation from the public. Where do you think we have missed it?
Thank you. I don't think we have missed it. We're on track. I can assure you.
The National Assembly?
The National Assembly.
Okay.
We are on track. We have done a lot in the review. And what the Senate are doing currently, it's part of the exercise, and they will conclude it. We have finished in the House of Representatives. We have passed our own version. So we are awaiting their own version so that we can meet at the conference committee to harmonize the entire process. What we're doing is to ensure, one, Nigerians are fully involved in the process. Secondly, to attract more credibility to our electoral process, locally and internationally. People should see us as a symbol of hope. African nations should learn from our process, electoral process, and that is what we are doing in the National Assembly. And I can assure you, the Senate will do the right thing. The House of Reps, we have done our own, but we'll still meet and look at two of the version, which one is the best for Nigerians. And our concern is this election should be free and fair. People should not be credible. Yes, people should not be shortchanged. Votes should count, either from the deepest rural area or the urban areas. People's vote, citizens' vote should count. That is what we're saying.
All right, Honorable. I like the fact that you mentioned that people should view the National Assembly as a symbol of hope. But in recent times, or would I say in past days, we've seen groups, civil society groups, come out to protest against, the outcomes from the Senate, which, stuck to the 2022 version of the Electoral Act in terms of the transmission of election results. Now, what civil society, these groups are accusing legislators of is fear of defeat. Maybe that is why they are stalling the process and also not admitting to the mandatory transmission of electronic transmission of election results. Now, would you say that the populace seem to have lost trust in legislators so far?
Well, we're representatives of the people, from our constituencies to the National Assembly. By extension, we're speaking on behalf of Nigerians. Am I right? Good. You don't expect the National Assembly to sit and pass laws that will discredit the institution, one, and will not give hope to Nigerians, to the people that we are representing. I can assure you that the issue of this Electoral Act amendment for 2026 that is ongoing, let me make some clarifications here to those that think we in the National Assembly were against the electronic transmission system of all results to the INEC portal. It is not correct. This reform is extremely good and is excellent, and it will reduce the issue of rigging, manipulation, and time wastage. But come to think of it, this is Nigeria, and we have a lot of other challenges that comes with if we said, okay, all elections results should be transmitted via electronic means to the portal. From the polling unit in the House of Reps, that is what we pass, that all results should be transmitted to the portal from the polling unit immediately after what? Counting of votes, signing by the electoral officers and the agents. From there, you should transmit it. I want to ask you this question. Do you think this is possible in Nigeria of today that we are? The answer is no. Do you know why? We have infrastructure gap. What I mean by that is, let me give you an example with my constituency, Toro Federal constituency. I still have more than 35% of my population still under disconnection of network. We don't have network in these areas. They cannot make phone call. We are not even talking about transmitting result. To make phone call or to browse and check result on the INEC portal to check whether their result is actually what they casted, is actually what is in the cyber. You understand? So issue of network challenge, this infrastructure, is not just my constituency. What about the riverine areas in the down Niger Delta region? There are still areas that they don't have network. They have this critical challenge. So what do you do about that? Are you saying that their vote should not count? What we are saying is we're making a step towards reforms. And reform cannot come at once. Okay. You understand? So these are the issues that the Senate are looking into. Yes, my view in the floor of the House of Reps, I was against the passage of completely 100% transmission because it affects my constituency and my people. So what I'm expecting the Senate to do, if you ask me, I will tell you from what they are doing because they have not concluded. What they might likely do today or before the conference committee, I can tell you that. So that is it.
Okay. Before you talk about what they might likely do, the electoral process in Nigeria have gone a long way. Before now, it was manually, the electoral officer will have to travel to the collation center with the material. Sometimes they get missing for a whole day. You won't even see them. Before INEC brought in the idea of card reader. When card reader was introduced, Nigerians didn't believe it would work. And we embraced it. And we surmounted that challenge. Then INEC also brought the issue of the beavers. And also the idea of electronic transmission was INEC's idea, is that not? And the people are saying that if INEC had the idea, why is it difficult for us to make the law, just like the Supreme Court said, it was in their guideline. If you want it implemented, make a law that will guide them? Is it that we're protecting the institutions, or we're giving the institution tasks? Because between 2023 and now, why is it difficult for us to have gravitated towards where we know we make our elections credible?
That is why I said we have to, it's all about the law. When beavers, can you remember the challenges of beavers? I think you should. Some card readers felt, even when Jonathan was about to vote, it was all over. So we have this challenge as well. And we have issue of the INEC staff that handled beavers. They were not properly trained. And up to this moment, I can assure you that more than 80% of the ad hoc, they pick ad hoc staff to work for INEC. They cannot operate and they cannot send results via electronically. They are not trained up to now. What do you do about those people? They pick all these ad hoc staff 3 weeks, 2 weeks to the election because of funding. They cannot afford to recruit those people that will manage the system. And we should not forget one very important fundamental issue. If you want reform for transparency, then you should not set a trap for yourself to fail. If you don't have trained staff that will handle the system to upload these results, you don't have network to transmit, you have a lot of other challenges surrounding it. It's an excellent reform, but what do you do about these challenges? And that's why today, with our submission, we have met individual submissions. We'll talk about here what the Senate may likely do. There will be no lacuna. Election results or victories will no longer be determined by the Nigerian court any longer with what we're going to do with the Electoral Act of this amendment for the 2026 that is ongoing right now in the National Assembly. That I can assure you.
All right, Honorable, I'd like to ask, why does it seem that lawmakers are not on the same page in terms of this amendment? Because after, the Senate had a session, we saw opposition, come out to say, like they were tricked. They were not, what they agreed on was not what happened during the amendment process. And we have also seen that some opposition figures also joined this protest that held in front of the National Assembly yesterday concerning this mandatory electronic transmission of election results. Now, would you say that the opposition is taking advantage of public anger and playing politics with this whole issue, or there's a genuine concern in this matter?
Yes, I cannot say completely they are taking advantage of what is actually going on. They also need to be educated. When you engage them, a lot of them, they don't know what the reform, if you clearly state that all results, that means my constituency, half of my constituency, the result will not count. By the law, they want us to pass. You understand? So even them, the opposition that are protesting, it's going to bounce back on them. So they need to understand what we're doing, the issue of being reasonable and knowing the implication of if I make this law, what will happen to me in my constituency or in my state or in my local government or in my polling unit. You understand? But it is normal with us politicians. If we see whether that thing is, we know that is wrong, but the majority of we look at the thinking of the populists and we align with them for one sympathy, for one seeing us as the best people. Meanwhile, we are not. We are all politicians, so we take advantage, and that is exactly what is happening. The leader of the protest go down to his own locality. The same issue that I'm discussing here, he has similar issue. It's all over the nation. Issue of infrastructure gap. And we cannot shine or run away from the fact. You know, I know. So this is just the matter. But I can assure those protesting that they should calm down and understand. They should, let me tell you, they fail to sit down and study up to this point what we are doing in the National Assembly. Somebody will just come out and I've been reading statements by civil society and so many other groups outside the context. They don't even understand. I will advise them to sit down and study the Amendment Act, the Electoral Act that we're trying to amend. Let them study it carefully and understand what is inside. Then they can come out and speak. But when you speak out of context, then we see you as somebody that you have missed focus already. So this is what I can say about the opposition.
All right, Honorable, we'll still come back to other matters, but that'll be right after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Grab your coffee. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us now. We're still discussing the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. It's getting heated here in the studio.
Yeah, Honorable, earlier you talked about legislation, how INEC personnel are not well trained for elections. And should we create excuses for them in the sense that while you're in this Electoral Act, we used to have 360 days to the election. And you knew that they have personnel not well trained before an election. So preparation is a problem. And you reduced it to 180 days. Are you trying, is the National Assembly trying to complicate the problem of the people or trying to help? What is the wisdom behind reducing from 360 days to 180 for an institution we know have issues with logistic challenge?
This reduction has nothing to do with training of staff. You can train staff for 1 year.
Ad hoc staff?
Ad hoc staff. If you have the resources, you can
budget allocation and all that is available.
That was the issue I raised, issue of funding. It has the reduction of days is to when election should take place, not when preparation. I don't know whether you get it right. When INEC immediately after general election of 2023, INEC begin preparation for 2027 general election. Are you not aware? It's not issue of, it has nothing, there are two different things altogether. What we reduce is number of days. From this time, it was too long. It gives room for so many long spendings, so many fights, insecurity within the political cycle, and all that. That was why we reduced it to a minimal days so that we can do it and finish on time. But that does not stop INEC or temper with their preparation, please.
Is preparation not hinged on budgetary allocation? How do you prepare if you don't have the finance to prepare for it? So they will always wait for you to release their finances, is that not?
Our work in the National Assembly is to pass their budget, to scrutinize it, check, and pass it. And we do that immediately. We don't hold their budget, because we understand the sensitivity of that institution, what they need to do to Nigerians. So immediately they bring their budget. It's a special committee in the National Assembly, both chambers, Senate and House of Representatives. So issue of funding, it is not us, it's the executive. So if we pass budget and the executive fail to release funds to them for proper organization and whatsoever, it is not our fault. We have done our own work. But we always remind and sanction those in charge of our institutions. It is our constitutional duty to oversight them, to direct them, and to call them to order, which we have been doing that. Releases should be made immediately without any waste of time to INEC so that they can go ahead and prepare the national elections.
All right, Honorable Dabo, you agree with me that the first step to solving a problem is identifying what that problem is first. And clearly, in this case, we have identified infrastructure gap as one of the hindrances to the mandatory...
and it's not the only problem. We have issue of cyber security,
crime,
which you can see what happened in the last election. Atiku came out and said the cyber was hacked.
Okay.
Hackers have tampered with it. Peter Obi said the same thing. So do we have that mechanism presently in Nigeria? If United States will claim or will accuse China of hacking into their system,
all right, good.
Did INEC have such a mechanism to protect the server that they are using.
Good that you're mentioning these issues, and it's clear to lawmakers, I believe, your colleagues, that you are aware of these challenges.
Yes.
Now, what are you lawmakers doing to mitigate this challenge? Because Nigerians are tired of excuses. If they say they want growth and then you confront them with challenges, what are you doing to mitigate these challenges and support INEC?
Okay, let me bring the issue of what Senate might likely do and relate it to this for you so that I can make it very clear. One, INEC will be given opportunity to transmit results via the electronically, where they can be able to do it, where they have network. INEC will also be given opportunity to transmit those results, to submit those results from areas where they have the infrastructural challenges, so that people's vote will count. Then INEC will be mandated to quickly, and the executive, NCC, to ensure that remote areas where they don't have network, before future election, they should make sure that they provide network in those areas. And also, INEC should make sure that the server we're talking about, they should have a serious security system that will safeguard their server, that it will not be tampered, and it will not be hacked, and it will not be a litigation at the end of the day. Issue of trust. Nigerians have so much distrust on the institution called INEC. So with this server issue of hacking, once Nigerians heard that the server has been hacked, they will believe it. And it will put us into terrible problem in this country that we cannot be able to resolve it. So we have to allow the system to work. We have to allow both the two-way of transmitting results to scale through, so that we manage crisis, so that we don't have a window for some people to take advantage. They knew that they lost election, but they will use that as an excuse to cause chaos and problem in this country.
The Honorable, let's look at this other aspect. You talked about the legislation where INEC, the NCC will be mandated to make sure they put infrastructure in place.
Yes.
And the other time, my colleague asked that, why are we creating excuses? Now, you were in the National Assembly, I guess, when the NCC and other people came out when we were fighting terrorism. And we did the same registration. And they told us the idea is for us to be able to get these criminals.
Yes.
We've not used those things very well. And as the National Assembly holding them to task. And then you're saying that the same institutions that people question the modalities they put in place, you are saying now that they will work to make sure that we have infrastructure. The aspect is, how is the National Assembly holding institutions to task rather than creating excuses for them?
We are not creating excuses for them. If you could remember, the National Assembly have sanctioned NCC during that period of SIM registration. And that reform came from the Parliament. And they were mandated to go ahead and make sure that every SIM in this country, it's being registered.
So what's the outcome?
So thank you. And that is why you should believe with me that we are not yet there if we don't want to put ourselves in trouble on this issue of electronic transmission of results to the portal. What we're saying is a continuous process. Every nation have their own issues. It's not just Nigeria. We have seen where systems were being tempered in developed countries, and it puts them into trouble. We have seen where they mention it themselves that they are embarking on reforms to checkmate either migrants, either you're a real citizen, either you're eligible to social insurance and all that, that it has been tempered. So it is not just us that we're having such an issue, but it's work in progress. We'll keep on bringing up laws that will strengthen the institutions, the agencies of government, so that they can perform better. And I can assure you that is exactly what we are doing in the National Assembly. We're not sleeping, we're working, we pass laws, we make sure that those laws are effective. That is what we're doing. So I can assure you that NCC will make sure that they are the supervising agency to all these service providers, MTN and the rest. So they will call them to order. They must find a way to provide all this infrastructure across the nation, so that maybe by the next election after this, we can be able to say we have covered 100%, so we can now transmit results electronically and nobody will complain. Somebody like me will not come here and sit and protest that 40% of my votes will not be transmitted.
All right,
so
very
I'm
quickly,
in trouble.
Honorable, because of our time, the clock is ticking, and with this so much resistance and protests we see, in the event that the National Assembly is not able to complete this task, or this Electoral Act is not signed into law before the election, do you really think that this can even meet up to the timeline of the election next year? And in the case that it doesn't, what is the implication for our electoral process?
No, I want to tell you categorically today that we're going to conclude this process before the elections.
Okay.
The conference committee has been set already. Today, the Senate they have sitting today, and they will come out with their position. They will pass it, and I'm sure it will be accepted by Nigerians. That I can assure them. But I want to tell Nigerians just one simple thing. They should stop allowing politicians, that is we the politicians, to drive their thinking towards our personal interests. We are very good in doing that. What we should be talking about is not protest. What will be the best outcome of the Electoral Act amendment? That should be our question. Okay, if we're saying we have these challenges, what do? We can do A, B, C and conduct our elections. We have done it in the past. Jega have conducted election that was generally accepted, not just here, all over the world. We can still do it. We have our agents. It is us. We put our agents in various polling units, to the collection center, to the state, and to the national. So we have our people there seated, and they have to sign the result. So even before you transmit the result to the INEC portal, the agents and electoral officers present there, they have to sign it and they upload the results. Right. So this is what I can say. I can assure Nigerians that we have enough time. We're going to conclude the process and it's going to be acceptable.
All right, Honorable Dabo, we must say thank you so much for honoring us with your presence this morning. It's a delight speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. We'll now hand you over to Lagos, where Ria and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right, thank you so much, Abuja. That was indeed a very, very